Have you ever watched a really badly dubbed video? You must remember that you immediately noticed that something was wrong. The lip movements didn't correspond to what you were hearing. And that's because our brain continuously interprets what we hear and what we see together. It uses that visual information to better understand what we're hearing. And we use this ability from a very young age. Babies already show a preference for videos where the lip movements are well synchronized to what they're hearing. Moreover, babies that already have this ability at 6 months old are shown to have a better vocabulary at 12 and 15 months old. Older adults use this too. When their hearing changes, they're shown to rely more on visual information to understand what they're hearing. So it's pretty clear that we use visual information and audio together to learn and understand our first language. And some researchers have also shown that we use that when learning a second language as well. So we wanted to see whether that also helped when learning a second language with a social robot. More specifically, we wanted to see whether second language learners would be better able to pronounce words that they learn with a social robot that has very realistic and well-matched lip movements, compared to a robot that does not have such lip movements. In addition, we also wanted to see whether that effect would be different for more complex than for easy words. Sounds pretty simple, right? Well, it wasn't. We set up an experiment where we gathered 27 Dutch-speaking people from Belgium. Their task was to learn to pronounce 30 Japanese words together with the Furhat social robot. Their pronunciation would be rated by 20 Japanese speakers. The words were divided into 3 conditions. In the first condition, we used very realistic and well-matched lip animations. The animations would be recorded using motion capture technology from a native Japanese speaker. In the second condition, we still used those realistic lip movements, but we purposefully mismatched them with the audio. And in the third condition, our control condition, we used computer-generated lip movements, just the default lip movements generated by Furhat. They're way less pronounced than the realistic lip movements, and they're also generated by an English language model, not a Japanese one. So they're not well matched to the audio and also not very realistic. Let's have a look at what this experiment looked like.
Goedemorgen.
Ohayo gozaimasu. Ohayo gozaimasu.
Ohayo gozaimasu.
Aangename kennismaking.
Hajimemashite. Hajimemashite.
Hajimemashite.
Smakelijk.
Itadakimasu. Itadakimasu.
Itadakimasu.
So, what do we expect? Well, we simply expect that the participants would do best in the matched condition than with the computer-generated lip movements, and worst of all with the mismatched lip movements. With regards to words of different difficulty levels, we expect them to be better with easy words than with hard words. Let's have a look at what the results actually look like. Here we show the pronunciation scores for the 3 different lip animation conditions. The scores are on a scale from 0 to 10, with 10 being very well pronounced. We see that the participants do best of all with the computer-generated lip movements. They do a bit worse with the mismatched lip movements, and worst of all with the matched realistic lip animations. That doesn't make any sense at all. It's completely the opposite of what we expected. So perhaps this is because of the difficulty level of the words. So if we look at the scores for the different difficulty levels, we see that they do best for easy words, worse for words of medium difficulty level, and worst of all for hard words. That is what we expect. So perhaps there's some interaction between the difficulty levels and the animation conditions. We built a mixed effects model to look at the scores for the different animation conditions and difficulty levels. Here we see those scores split up in the difficulty levels and the animation conditions. At the top of the red line you see the easy words. As we know, they do best for the easy words, but within the easy words there's no significant difference between the 3 animation conditions. For the medium words there is. The participants do worst for the matched lip animation condition, a bit better for the mismatched, and best of all with the computer-generated lip movements. And for the hard words, it's the same, except there's not really a significant difference between the mismatched and the computer-generated lip movements. This is still very strange. It's still the opposite of what we expected. For none of the difficulty levels do the participants do better with realistic and well-matched lip movements. And that's strange because we did test the animations beforehand. We asked Japanese speakers to rate the matched and mismatched animations for how well matched they were. And they clearly said that the mismatched animations were mismatched and the matched ones were matched. But our participants were not native Japanese speakers, they were Dutch speakers. Maybe their brain just wasn't able to interpret that difference. So we repeated that experiment with Dutch-speaking people. We asked them to rate the animations for how well matched they are. And they weren't able to notice the difference. Here we see the score on a scale from 1 to 5, with 1 being very mismatched and 5 being very matched, for the matched and the mismatched animations. And while we see that the Japanese people clearly rate the matched lip animations as matched and the mismatched lip animations as mismatched, the Dutch speakers rate all of them as matched. There's only a small significant difference, but both scores are on the matched side of the scale. They're just not able to see the difference. So, in conclusion, we've shown that realistic, well-matched lip movements simply don't seem to bring the benefits that we expected to second language pronunciation learning with a social robot. And this could be because of the fact that second language learners simply aren't able to detect the difference between matched and mismatched lip animations in that language that they're learning. If you want to know more, have a look at our paper and we'd be very happy to talk to you as well.